Welcome back inside TD Garden, everybody. My name is Mike Petraglia, joined once again by Josue Pavon, Celtics writer for the Green Street blog on WEEI.com. Flipping the script is the theme of the night here in game number 5 of the Eastern Conference semifinals between the Celtics and the Washington Wizards, and that's a very good thing for Celtics fans, including Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, LeGarrette Blount, Julian Edelman, all courtside to watch the Celtics whomp the Washington Wizards by a score of 123 to 101. This time, Josue, it was the Celtics getting out to the big first quarter run, a 16-0 spurt after the Wizards scored the first 4 points of the game. And really, it was all over, but the crying from then on in, as we are recording this in front of what was the Washington Wizards bench. They were sulking all night long.
They didn't see this one coming at all, Trags. I mean, they just got hit in the mouth from the beginning, and the Celtics just kept their foot on the gas pedal, throughout the entire game. The bench guys stepped up. I mean, a lot of these starters, I just feel like the effort was just on a whole nother level, a level that we haven't seen throughout this entire series. Even in those first 2 games where the Celtics actually won, I still don't think the effort level was at its peak the way we saw it tonight. It was incredible basketball by the Celtics.
Well, and I think to your point, Josue, it was Avery Bradley leading the charge. After this game, Avery Bradley said it can't be Isaiah Thomas every single night. And I think every single Celtic fans that has followed this team all season long, and actually for the last couple of years, knows that to be the case. And tonight it was Avery Bradley stepping forward with a remarkable first half display, scoring 25 points in the first half alone on 10 of 13 shooting. The 25 points at halftime was already a career playoff high for Bradley. He finished with 29 points. But to Bradley's point, not only did Bradley contribute, but with Isaiah Thomas as a distributor tonight, as he was not only distributing but also setting screens. He is the best screen setter, he said on the team after the game. But it was Al Horford contributing with 19 points. It was Jay Crowder with 18 points. It wasn't all on the back of Isaiah Thomas, who in this game did finish with 18 points. It was just such a balanced effort, and it was great to see the Celtics really support Isaiah.
I really don't think the Washington Wizards really saw this coming from Avery Bradley. I think they thought the hip pointers were going to plague him for the rest of the series, and I think Celtics fans thought that as well. But you saw a complete opposite from him. I think that extra day of rest helped. I think the fact that he took it easy in practice, even when during timeouts, just to make sure he wasn't getting stiff. He was on a stationary bike in the first half, just staying loose, staying ready to go, because remember the last time the Celtics played in this arena, he was very stiff going back in the second half, as Brad Stevens pointed out after the game. Not this time around. He was very active. He did a lot of things for the Celtics offensively. Of course, on the defensive end, he did what he usually does. But another thing about the Celtics offense that I need to bring up is what we saw from Al Horford. I mean, it was like magic Horford out there. This guy was another point guard for the Celtics tonight. And I think that's something.
Point center.
A point center. That's something I think could easily go overlooked in such a blowout like this. But I think true Celtics fans that have been watching this team for so long, for this entire season, noticed a huge difference in his demeanor and what he did on both ends of the floor. I thought offensively he was not only setting screens, finding guys, he was opening things up for all of his teammates. And I think that is essentially helped someone like Isaiah Thomas, who the Wizards thought that would be the only guy that the Celtics would that the Wizards have to worry about. They thought that Isaiah was going to be, revert to try being the Isaiah that we saw in games 1 and game 2. No, Brad Stevens adjusted his offense, and a lot of that had to do with Al Horford handling the ball, being the focal point of the offense, while Avery Bradley did everything else, I think, to get the ball rolling that first half.
To your point on Al Horford, a lot of people see him as one of the best passing big men in the NBA, but not only that, not only do the Celtics run a lot of their offense through Al Horford, not only Isaiah Thomas, but Al Horford as well. He can also spread the court, and that's really what happened today. The other thing that really, I think, turned the tide early in this game and in the first quarter, the transition points. 15-0 in favor of the Celtics in the first quarter. Scott Brooks, after the game, the Wizards coach, said that was really the difference in the game. We never recovered. John Wall, after the game, said, look, we took it to them. It was pretty obvious in games 3 and 4. The Celtics, were the more physical team here on Wednesday night, and I'd like to see the Celtics try and carry that on to game number 6 on Friday night. What did Avery Bradley said after this game? He said, or actually after the games in Washington, he said, look, it'd be great if we win game 5, and after getting blown out and everybody dissing us for their performance in games 3 and 4 to close out this series in game 6, they have that chance now.
Huge opportunity, golden opportunity. I mean, the Celtics sort of I mean, having home court in Game 7 is obviously a huge advantage, especially in the NBA. But what Avery Bradley said is so true. You want to beat them on their floor. You want to close this out as soon as possible. You saw what they did against Chicago. This is a much different team, a much better team. But I think the Celtics are playing at a different level right now. They're playing much better than what we saw in the first round. And I think that you have to close it out in Game 6, regardless of having the home floor in Game 7. You don't want to have the Washington Wizards thinking that they have a chance in this one. And they will not back down. They will step up to the challenge of playing these guys in Game 7 here. So in order to avoid that, you knock them off in Game 6. It's going to be a close one. It's going to be tough out there. But again, the way this offense has adjusted, the way that everyone is putting forth the type of effort that they need in order to close things out in Game 6, I think is very much achievable for the Celtics. And I really wouldn't be surprised if they go up there, or go down there, I should say, and defeat the Wizards on their home floor.
Let's not forget the Celtics were up 40-28 in game number 4, and then the bottom fell out. So the Celtics are capable of going down there and playing well, and who knows, if you get the Wizards a little bit nervous, get them thinking about, is this going to be our last game of the year? You get inside their heads a little bit. There are a lot of people who think that the Wizards are capable, the Celtics are totally capable of psychologically destroying the Wizards. They were able to do that here in Boston in game number 5 here on Wednesday night. Can they do it on the road? Let's turn to something else that unfortunately we have to address. It was the Kelly Oubre story. He returned from a Game 4 suspension, Game 5. Look, Kelly Oubre didn't really have a big impact in this game. He was booed and whatnot when he came into the game in the first quarter. But as the game wore on and in the second half, we started hearing really ugly chants of, let's face it, F you, Oubre.
He almost said it.
F you, Oubre. No, I'm not going to say that. We still have a clean Facebook Live going on here. F you, Oubre. John Wall, after the game, was asked about that. He said, we warned Kelly Oubre what to expect coming to Boston. We didn't expect those kind of words to be used.
Well, I think some of it had to do, and I'm not crediting the fans for saying that. I still think it's inappropriate either way. But before this game, Oubre talked about how he's expecting that and he wants that, So I think that sort of had the crowd, up the ante a bit. But either way, I mean, it's just, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, this is Boston. This is a tough city, a tough town to play in. And he did something despicable in Washington. However, I just don't think that's appropriate. I'm not surprised by John Wall's response, obviously. And I just think it's something that, like you said, I mean, he wasn't a big factor in this game. So I think it's something that won't be blown out of proportion just because of the kind of player he is and the fact that he doesn't have a huge impact on this series. But if the series does come back to Game 7, oh, man. I don't think it'll be as bad, but Oubre's gonna hear some more boos and some more not so kind words from the Celtics fans here in Gardner.
So let me ask you, you don't think this is going to blow up into what Adam Jones was at Fenway Park? It's totally different,
Absolutely
right?
not. Yeah, completely different, not racially motivated, and some people on ESPN may try to pull that card out. Hopefully they don't, because I didn't hear anything like that, nothing racially motivated.
Right.
Me speaking as a member of the media who's in the crowd and heard a lot of that towards Oubre, I just think it's just good old-fashioned Boston sports fans just, rallying behind Kelly Olynyk for what he did in Game 3.
Okay. Al Horford credited Jaylen Brown as one of the unsung heroes after this game for what the energy is. You have talked about all series long, Josue, the energy Jaylen Brown brings. I think Jaylen Brown could be that X factor that really gets the Celtics perhaps over the top on Friday night in Washington.
I agree, Trags. I mean, he's just one of those energy guys off the bench, along with Rozier, along with Marcus Smart, of course. And I just think, looking at what happened in Game 3 and Game 4, I was really surprised that he didn't turn to him before the game was unreachable. I thought that he was someone that could have helped the Celtics in possessions and spurts. I mean, let's face it, he's not going to go out there and drop 20, but he does things that help you get momentum back into your favor, And I think those are the type of guys that you need in the playoffs. They are very important, and I think he's sort of out of the proverbial doghouse. Not 100% sure why he was in that for Games 3 and Game 4. Maybe it was strategy-wise. Maybe it was something that Brad Stevens was ready for, not willing to give him that spot yet. But I think he's earned himself a spot in this rotation. I think you can expect to see him again in Game 6 off the bench.
All right, the Celtics defense really came to play tonight. 14 of 36 is what Bradley Beal and John Wall combined to shoot from the field. If you get that kind of performance defensively in game number 6, you are going to advance to play the Cleveland Cavaliers on Monday night here in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. If the Celtics lose on Friday night in Washington, Game 7 is on Monday night at 8 o'clock here at TD Garden. So one way or another, we are going to have a game next Monday night, 8 o'clock, here at TD Garden. We'll have you covered, of course, on the Green Street blog on WEEI.com. Yours truly and Josue Pavon will have all the content post-game here of game number 5, a 123-101 win over the Washington Wizards for the Boston Celtics. Celtics try to wrap it up, the Eastern Conference semifinals, that is, on Friday night in Washington. Inside TD Garden, for Josue Pavon, I'm Mike Petraglia, WEEI.com.